David sat down on a tree stump outside the city and called up a map from his greaves. It was not a big city, maybe 50,000. These vamps never liked when their herd got too big. The bigger the herd, the bigger the risk of rebellion. And this lord was no different. The tall walls that encircled the city seemed more to keep the people inside than the enemy out. For the lord, they were just one big blood and meat farm. The scanners had picked up at least one necrofocus, which meant a necromancer. They were evil bastards that sucked their life essence out to prolong their unholy lives. He smirked as he thought about it. Humanity had long ago discovered the secret of immortality by studying mushrooms. For humanity, it was just one more beneficial symbiotic life form living within them. But these abominations would never make that discovery. They had found their corrupted versions and now traveled the universe, skipping from planet to planet, to ensure their supremacy and keep the population as slaves, resources, and food. However, he was impressed by their magic. It was impressive, even if it was corrupting your soul. Some even could do it as well, but the cost was your life's essence. And if you didn't replace it with another victim, you would wither away and die. This was why humanity had refused it and instead found the wonders of science. Not that the population of this world would ever know. That didn't mean that some sick bastard had joined the dark side. Those maniacs were dangerous but, luckily, mostly stupid. He studied the map and found the gate. It was a small one and would move you around the world. It took the life essences of 100 healthy adults to open a gate to another world. So it was not something they did lightly. That was a small fortune for them. Just the thought of these monsters using beings as money made him sick to his stomach. His thought was disrupted as he was suddenly surrounded by light as a small drone landed before him. It opened up a hatch and he saw 5 hot and fresh tacos. He chuckled. "Thanks, Janice. You seemed lost in thought again. Focus on the job. Do you have any ideas?" He watched the map as he gobbled down the tacos. I want a drone ready to take out the gate." He pointed at it on the map. "I don't want the bastard to escape quickly. I want him to feel chased the whole way back to his lord. Have the knights take down all the mutt camps around the city while I'll challenge his knight. When I do that, you take out the gate." "So, the standard plan?" She sounded professional as she was starting the program. "Yes. I haven't seen anything to make me adjust it." He looked towards the gate a mere click away as the guards he let live finally made it to the gate to report what had happened. He stood up and started to walk down the road. "Thanks again for the tacos. I'll keep you posted." It took him 10 minutes to reach the road, and he then turned towards the city, his dark cloak making him almost impossible to see. As he was about 50 meters from the gate, he heard a voice call out, "Who are you? And what is your business at Haw Hill?" He looked up at the gate and saw the man shouting, clearly a Renfield, a man who had sold his soul to the vamps in the hope that he one day would be granted the gift of vampirism. They rarely did. "My name is Sir David Tempete of the Holy Order of the Burying Blade, and I have come to challenge your champion. It's been a while since I fought somebody worthy." There was a long silence, so he looked towards the east. "Look, if your champion is too scared of the sunrise, then I can wait until sunset, but it's about 2 hours before it rises. He, she, or it should be long dead by then." Still silent, his display showed the gate was being activated. "Close the gate, Janice." He didn't hear anything, but smoke started to rise from one of the windows at the main castle. "There is no escape. Face me in combat, or I will level the castle with the divine holy light." Finally, there was an answer. It was more growling than a voice. "And if we win, then you win and I cannot call down the divine holy light to burn that abomination of a building from this land. Pretty simple, actually. Come and fight or die inside your own prison. What would the people think if you fear one mere night? They might rebel." There was some more silence. "There is a rider coming towards the gate from the castle. I guess you got the Lord's attention. Let's see if he is brave, stupid, or a sly snake." The big gate creaked open as a knight in black armor. Of course, it was Black who came riding out on some lizard-sized horse. The knight stopped and opened its visor. It was a pale woman with red hair and red glowing eyes. The AI identified her as a Shinda, a humanoid that could pass for a human if not for the marsupium they had and a knob of a tail. She was average size for her species, 2.5 meters tall and quite muscular. "You came here to die human. I will feast on your blood." She tried to sound as confident as possible, but he could not sense her fear. "Are we to fight on steeds? Or on foot?" He also opened his visor so she could see his face. "I will ride you down like the peasant you are." She growled back. So David took a disappointing breath and prayed to the angel of steeds to send him a lion to ride. From a nearby drone, a long metal rod was sent towards him, and as it got closer, it lit up as a hologram formed around it, turning it into a horse-sized lion with a saddle. Underneath the hologram, the nanotech former a shell of the lion, for him to sit on as he mounted his lion. The lion let out a roar that made the night sky tremble. "Ready when you are, leech." David smirked as he held up his arm, and his greaves turned into a white shield with a red rim and a red sword with a flaming aura around it. The sight of the lion sent shivers down her back as it resembled her homeworld's top predator. David spurned his ride and charged her. She almost broke but, at the last minute, managed to muster enough bravery to charge back. They meet in a clash of steel and beasts, and her beast was decapitated by a powerful bite from his lion. He circled the downed knight as his lion roared with what appeared to be fangs of pure flames. It hid the laser that had cut the poor beast clean off. David slid off his beast and moved over as she charged him with a giant war mace. It took him by surprise, and he barely got his shield up as she sent him flying a few meters back. She took the chance to jump towards him, and he rolled away just in time for her mace to land where his head had been. She was going berserk, so the normal route of theatrics was out the window, and he gritted his teeth. This was now a battle to the death. She swung against him, but this time he was ready and used his shield and the dampers to take the hit, as he countered with a swing towards her head. She managed to jump up and away, landing several feet away from him. "Looks like you're stronger than I thought." "It won't save you, beast." He twirled his sword in his hand and dropped the shield as he drew the dagger. "You should have kept the shield human." She charged him with supernatural speed as he jumped away from where he had stood and threw the dagger where he had been, and the force and the electroshock stunned her as he jumped back to cut the beast's head off. She reached out and, in the last second, managed to grab his neck, but it was too late. His blade cut through her neck, and her grip loosened as she fell forward, lifeless. He picked up the dagger and looked up at the gate. The men had watched the whole match, but there was one other person there as well, dressed in finer clothes. She looked like a pale version of the locals and dressed like a male. "Janice? Do you see her?" "Yes, her readings indicate she is young, probably the Lord's progeny." "I'll track her. She might lead us to the Lord." David watched her, realizing she had been discovered. She moved into the darkness and away, so he walked over to the gate, which they closed and dropped the portcullis. He hit it once to check for traps and spells as the men above him got ready to pour boiling water on him. He ignored it as the armor was made to endure the temperature of space. Instead focused on making his entrance, he activated the dagger, cut through the metal like butter, and entered the gatehouse. The big wooden door started to burn as he stabbed it with the dagger. Several crossbow bolts flew towards him from slit arrow loops. The damping field around him made them hit him with 1/10 of their force, and the armor made them fall harmless on the ground. He grabbed the dagger and took a step back and drew his own crossbow, and fired at the burning door that then exploded inwards and made the men that were waiting for him almost panic. He could see them through the smoke, but they had yet to see him, so he started the program. One of Janice's many hidden drones swapped in and dropped off 3 tennis ball-sized droids. 2 of them cloaked and started to play the Ride of the Valkyries. The third hovered behind him and lit up like a sun, making it hard to look at him. Half the men broke and ran at the effect. The few who stayed shot at him with their bolts with little effect. It was humor for David. If the vamps had just let their people advance up to the gunpowder age, then he could actually be in danger from them. This theatrics was meant to scare them to flee and save their lives. He had seen what had happened to the places they had liberated without these parlor tricks. It had been much more effective, but the end result was always the same. They had worshipped them as gods and feared to learn about technology lest they anger the gods. It made them understand better the prime directive of that Star Trek series. It was wrong, but it touched on some truth. You could not introduce high-tech to a society that views science as magic. You had to do it step by step. He moved towards the castles, shining like a goddamn disco ball and attracting as much attention as possible. When this lord was dealt with, his order would set up universities and slowly bring them up to galactic speed. Within 200 to 300 years, they would live among the stars as decent people, and these vamps and mutts would be viewed as legends and fairy tales to explain a deadly virus and disease. When he reached the castle gate, he was followed by a large group of citizens. In front of him stood the reminding mutts, or werewolves as they preferred to call themselves. All 5 of them in their horrid visage. David looked past them at the 3 vampires standing up on the wall, looking down, and then he looked back at the mutts. I, Sir David Tempete of the Holy Order of the Burying Blade, have come to cleanse this land of your kind. These mutts of yours are no threat to me. They are not worth my time. O Lady of the Sky, deliver this town from these pests. He raised his arms as he spoke, and Janice chuckled in his ear. Are you in a hurry? Okay. Hellfire missiles away. There was a large boom as parts of burning mutts flew through the air. The Lord barks an order and runs into the castle. The reminding vamps take one extra look, then turn and run after their lord. David walks through the rubble as Janice tracks the signature as they run through the castle, trying to escape. Should I activate the knights? Yes, leave the lord alive, but capture the 2 others if you can. I think a public execution would do nicely. He walked towards the castle gate and pushed open the door into the main hall. Seat. They vanished. Damn it. Something is interfering with my sensors. Frack. They got a competent Frankenstein. The door slammed shut behind him, and Janice's connection to him vanished. The signal was offline.